My name is Vic Bible. I'm with the member of the Simsbury Aging and Disability Commission. And this morning I'm here with Officer Devon from the Simsbury Police Department, Mike Jennings, who is a person with disabilities. What we're going to be talking about this morning is the Board of Selectmen's declaration of June being the 2014 Handicapped Parking Awareness Month. The Simsbury Aging and Disability Commission continues to try and provide education to the people of Simsbury on how to properly use the handicapped parking spaces. Right now, I'd like Mike to talk about a little bit about the use of his wheelchair. He's got a special minivan and the importance that he's experienced recently.
Thanks, Vic. As you can see, I drive this wheelchair. In addition to the wheelchair, I drive a special minivan. The van has a ramp, just like this one, that allows me to get in and out of it. So using handicapped parking spaces is vital to me.
Okay, Officer Devlin, we have made many improvements in town where the handicapped parking spaces have been more properly marked. Could you tell us a little bit about the blue signs and what the lines are in the marked pavement?
Absolutely. Each parking area in the town of Simsbury and across the state of Connecticut has parking spots for handicapped individuals that are identified by a blue placard. This is the poster that was created by the Aging and Disabilities Commission, and it does a pretty good job of showing what handicapped parking spaces look like. The blue sign is the blue sign with the handicap symbol on it. There also is a painted handicap symbol in between the two loading areas, and the handicap parking spaces are generally wider to be able to allow for an individual who requires the use of a ramp to be able to load and unload from their vehicle.
Now, if you had a placard, where does it get displayed?
The placards by state of Connecticut statute, once they're issued, need to be displayed by hanging in the rearview mirror of the vehicle. If the vehicle doesn't have a rearview mirror, then they need to be clearly displayed by being placed on the dashboard of the vehicle.
Mike can hold up his placard that he keeps in the front of his van. And this is what it looks like. And now there's been recent changes to some of the laws regarding those placards. It used to be that they were issued lifetime, but now they're not. You're going to have to renew them when you renew your license, and this hopefully will cut down the misuse of these placards, because people, once someone who was disabled in their family may retain it and use it illegally because the person's been passed away, but that card should be destroyed or returned to motor vehicles.
Also, Vic, let me just say that these placards are issued to the person, not the vehicle. You see the name on the placard as well as the person license number. This person must be in the vehicle when parking in the handicapped parking spot.
And that's a very important point, because a lot of people will have it maybe for a family member, and just because they have it, they'll use it, and that's not correct. And that's been an emphasis I know that you have had, Mike, recently, with making sure that the people that have them are in that vehicle. That doesn't mean they have to drive it. They're not driving the vehicle necessarily, but they have to be present in that vehicle. Mike, in the last 5 years, since you've regained your driver's license, what experiences have you had with parking problems?
Well, 27 times in the 5 years I've been where I call blocked. What that means is, can you hold up the sound again? People park in the straight areas, not allowing me enough room to deploy my ramp. So even though I can get out at first, I'll go shopping, come out and see I can't leave because someone's blocking me. So it's as if you come out of a store and find that the cars on both sides of you are parked like within a foot, so you can't open the door. It's a pretty helpless feeling.
And now, sometimes I know you have mentioned that you've contacted the local police to
Yeah.
see if they can't find the driver of that vehicle. Is that correct?
Correct.
And citizens of Simsbury can, if they see violations, that's one of the things that we did say in a recent announcement, that you can call the general police number, not 911, please, the general number, in order for you to have that car marked and possibly cited for violation of handicapped parking. Officer Devon, there are two types of tickets that you can not offer, but you don't want to offer it, but you do want to have it provided. What types are they?
The two types of tickets that we can issue are the state ticket, which can be either an infraction or a written warning, and also there's a town ordinance violation, which is the town parking ticket. And as you were saying, the community of Simsbury really is our eyes and ears a lot of times for these violations. We certainly do make an effort to go out and patrol our parking areas and to make sure that everybody's parked properly. However, a lot of times we do receive calls and respond when somebody has observed a violation.
And what are the amounts of violations? Because some of the signs said $50 up to, and I know there are different levels of fines.
$50 is the town ordinance violation. So if you were issued an town parking ticket for parking in a handicap zone, that would be a $50 violation. $150 is the state infraction.
And how often do those get issued? Do you know?
As often as necessary. It's up to the officer's discretion whether they decide to issue the town ordinance or the state infraction.
If I witnessed it, a violation, as I mentioned before, do the citizens of Simsbury actually call in, other than Mike?
Absolutely. You know, we have, like I said, we have received, a number of phone calls for residents of town or people who are shopping in our town who have witnessed handicap parking violations, and we do go out and investigate those complaints, attempt to make contact with the operators, and issue enforcement for that violation.
Big one key, if a person calls in a violation and the violator has left before the police comes, the person who called it in needs to sign a complaint.
A written complaint?
Yeah.
They sign a written complaint, and where do they find that? Is there a complaint form?
We would provide that if somebody called us and witnessed a violation that he's speaking of, and the violator had already left. A police officer could take a written complaint. The individual who witnessed it would have to sign and give a sworn written statement to us, and then we would be able to issue enforcement action on their behalf.
Okay. One of the things, too, that happens with misuse of handicap parking is the businesses. We all know that they have to have delivery trucks. Now, on several occasions, the Commission, the Aging Disability Commission, had received reports about complaints of trucks using, in some cases, the handicap parking or the line spot because they can fit in there, they're bigger. Well, we like to make sure that our businesses are aware of all the rules regarding handicap parking. And I know, for example, in the Fitzgerald's area there, they have loading docks in the back. And I noticed that they did put up a sign in that parking lot to say delivery trucks to use the back, because there were complaints about some trucks being on the sidewalk or near the crosswalk and misusing it. We, as a commission, have attempted to correct that, and I think we have done that with the police's effort. But we will go out and talk to businesses. It's also good for business because uh, if I happen to be just a handicapped person and I can't do my business in any one of the stores downtown here, I have to take my business elsewhere. So they are losing vital customers. Whether you're a bank, whether you're a food store, whether you're a hair salon, or whatever. It's good business to be sure that your clients and your customers know that handicap parking is for those people with disabilities.
Vic, I can personally attest to that because I personally just bring my business to places I know I have no trouble parking.
And the other thing too, which came up with the commission, people would make complaints and say, well, gee, I saw this person getting out of their car. They didn't look like they had any disability. We have to remember that all disabilities don't necessarily have to be physical. You don't have to be in a wheelchair to have a disability. Someone with a serious heart condition is not going to be able to walk great distances, will still receive the placard because they are medically deemed to be handicapped and or disabled. Therefore, they can use it. But if somebody says, well, gee, this person moves and doesn't have a cane or something of that sort, or like Mike, a motorized wheelchair, they're not disabled. That's very difficult for someone to see, and it's hard to maintain. Now, Lauren, we talked before, Officer Devon, excuse me. We talked about the proper display of placards.
Yes.
It's always on the front
It
windshield.
should be displayed in the by hanging from the rearview mirror, and if there is no mirror to hang it from, then it should be placed onto the dashboard.
Okay. We had talked before, and I never knew that there were temporary placards.
There
Are they
are.
what's the difference between the two placards?
The difference between a temporary placard and the placard that Mike has, the main difference is that obviously they're temporary. They can be issued two different ways. One way is they can be issued through the Connecticut Department of Motor Vehicles. And when they're issued that way, they are good for a period of 6 months. They look just like that, except for they're red instead of blue. Our chief of police can also issue temporary handicap placards to individuals who come and meet with the chief and meet the criteria. When he issues a temporary placard, they're good for a period of time that is specified by him.
But it's no longer lifetime.
No, again, I mean, the permanent ones aren't lifetime and the temporary ones are only temporary.
Also, Vic, let me point out these placards are only to be put up when you park, not when you're driving around. So you're not allowed to drive around with the placard hanging.
That's a good point because those are pretty large, and depending upon the driver, it may be in their line of vision, and perhaps cause some kind of accident because they can't see the car coming in. That's a very good point, Mike. Thank you. Last year we made a commercial where we said, I'll only be a minute. And what's the answer to that, Mike?
That's true. Only a minute is not correct.
It's not just a minute. It's not a valid excuse. People say, well, especially on those rainy days, I'm only going in the store for a minute, and they're gone, and then Mike can't come in or use his vehicle or any other citizens around town.
I personally had people on the delivery trucks park right in front of me right before I was gonna park, so just a minute doesn't work.
Okay. The other thing too about parking, and I think one of you mentioned it before, the aisles and the white lines in the handicapped parking spaces are very important to someone like Mike who has a vehicle which has the ramp and has to extend out so many feet for him to get that wheelchair down. It is important that we observe all these rules for handicapped parking. And as I said at the onset, the Simsbury Aging and Disability Commission works year-round to try and educate people in the town to make sure that they're aware of the parking handicap rules and regulations. I know that the Simsbury Police Department has been very supportive of our effort to continue to make sure that the citizens acknowledge that sign. I want to thank you this morning, Mike and Officer Devon, for assisting us in trying to bring Simsbury to a better place and honoring the Handicapped Parking Awareness Month. Thank you.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.